Welcome to another, no, I can't do it. Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents with me, your host, Valerie, and sometime co-host, Ms. Purrington. And Mookie as well. ComedyWham.com is your place to go for features about all Austin comedy. You can keep up with us on Twitter and Instagram at Comedy Wham or on our Comedy Wham Facebook page. In addition to podcasts, Comedy Wham brings you articles, album reviews, our advice column, Rochelle Takes on Comedy, and we've also got a festivals page, an FPIA page. And of course, we're best known for our events page for live shows in Austin, Houston, and DFW. If you're a comic in those cities and want your show featured on the calendar, go to the events page and click Submit a Show to complete the short survey. Tag us on your Instagram posts and stories and we'll share your show promo. Looking for ways to support all these resources that we provide? You can donate to Comedy Wham on PayPal, Venmo, or even Patreon. Search for Comedy Wham on Patreon and check out our subscriber perks. Now let's get back to our podcast. Launched in 2016, the podcast project brings you funny people and their stories. As a fan, I like to delve into a comic's background and motivations, and will usually take a detour along the way. Consider the interview a way for you to get to know the folks that make the Austin comedy scene one of the best in the country. If you like this podcast, please rate and review us. Today, I am talking to somebody who introduced herself to me as a Latina from New York City, New Jersey. That's not comma, that's slash. We know New York City is not New Jersey and vice versa. Anyway, she produces Austin comedy shows and open mics specifically for women, non-binary, and queer comedians. They created Open Michelle, an open mic specifically for women and non-binary comics when the Romo Room was still around. And she currently produces Texas. I don't know. She'll have to correct me. A queer comedy show at the Creek in the Cave. I almost said the Queer in the Cave. Please rebrand accordingly. All right, she's a graphic designer with a very impressive portfolio. Her flyers look really, really cool. She does them for comedy shows as well, so pay attention. She has worked for HuffPost and Comedy Central. And now, I didn't even bother to ask exactly how to pronounce her name, so we're just going to give this a shot. Comedy Wham presents our guest, Alyssa Spatola?
Yeah.
How close?
Perfect.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're so positive.
Oh, man.
You walked in and we're, chatting, and then we both somehow ended up on this ASMR thing. That's why I tried to do the intro, and I just realized I could not commit to that. We both hate ASMR.
It's terrible.
So if you love ASMR, well, this is not the episode for you. But no, you should still continue listening.
For sure.
Alyssa, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so stoked to finally meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been sending you mics and shows to promote for over a year now, so I'm very excited to meet you in person.
It's so funny that happens now from time to time, that somebody has been submitting and we've somehow never crossed paths at a show. And of course, over the last, it's probably before a year now that there was just so much that was locked down or whatever, and then my schedule has just been insane with my child that I can't get out more. But now more and more my child has homework all the time, so I can sneak away.
Oh, yeah. Gotta go to comedy. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I snuck away last night and got to see a show, so that was fun.
How was that? Yeah.
It was great. I was going to go to one show but decided against it, and ended up at Cap City to see Michael Ian Black, who is...
Oh, he rules.
He is such an incredible performer, and when you podcast as much as I have, and you talk to so many comics and watch so much comedy, you start really appreciating how does somebody put words together, how do they interact with crowd, how do they throw little things in the middle of their sets, and... he's just great. I've seen him before, but last night was fantastic.
Ooh, what a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. But we're here to talk about you, Alyssa.
This isn't the Michael Ian Black.
This is not the Michael dedication show.
Dang,
no,
that's what I came here for.
Well, you could share with us your appreciation for, and I'll tag him on this and tell him, look, we talked about you. I have an icebreaker question that I like to ask my guests.
Sure.
You've listened to the podcast, so tell me before you tell me your word. Did you prepare, or did you say I was going to come in cold?
I'm very type A, so I took out a thesaurus.
Seriously?
And I tried to find a perfect word. So
That's commitment.
Yeah,
That is
and
commitment.
I actually did not. So didn't even work. But I know the question.
Okay. Alyssa.
Yes.
One word to describe your past.
Okay. So I've given this a lot of thought, clearly.
I love it.
And I've landed on 2 words.
Okay.
And that is organized chaos.
Oh, I like that.
And there's no one word for this term.
There should be.
Yeah, I was really searching for it. But I think my past and my life has been a pretty funny balance and dance between the two of being organized and having my shit together and being kind of disorganized and everything being a shit show. So definitely organized chaos, I think, is the same.
Huh. Yeah, I love that because that's how I routinely feel.
Cool. Yeah. Same boat.
Yeah. You grew up in New York, New Jersey?
Yes. Okay. So I was born in New York City, and then I grew up by Jersey City, like right outside. Mm-hmm. And then I moved to New York as an adult, and I kind of bounced between the two. Yeah.
For a time, I'm also a big Dave Hill fan, and he was doing a show with WFMU, the little grassroots radio station that's based in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm familiar with that area. I actually got to tour the studio a little bit as well, so it was cool being up there.
Is that William Patterson University?
It is close to a campus, but it's its own little building.
Okay, I think I've heard of this.
Yeah.
It's like alternative
Very
stuff?
alternative.
Okay,
yeah, like
very cool.
They have let's have an hour dedicated to clog songs.
like, hell yeah.
Polka songs.
Rock out.
Yeah. Random
fun.
sounds that somebody put in on a keyboard. It's very, very New York City, New Jersey.
Cool. Love it.
What role did comedy play in your life growing up?
Ooh, it was kind of the glue, I think, for my family. I grew up, I had my dad, but I grew up living with my mom. Okay. And so, like, every Friday night, it was like Friday Night Blend on Comedy Central and just, and Mad TV and SNL. So it was just really present, and my mom worked in television, so she was obsessed with stand-up, and she would take me into the city and we'd go see comedians. Like, I've seen like lots of tapings of shows. I saw Amy Schumer before she was big, and it was awesome. Yeah, it was great. Yeah,
that's cool, because that's the life I'm making my child have. I take him to shows and
And does he enjoy it?
For the most part, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. He would have liked we're just going to take it back whenever we can. He would have enjoyed Michael Ian Black's show last night.
Right. Yeah.
So, as a fan of comedy growing up, did you feel kind of cool being able to say, "Oh, I got to see, so and so comic"? Because what I find is that young people, until like they get out of high school, they don't really understand what the comedy world and universe is like. So was it kind of a cool thing for you to be able to say, "Oh, I got to go see this famous comic or this cool comic with your friends"?
I think it was pretty commonplace.
Because it's big New York City.
It's so big there, and I knew, like, growing up, I knew comedians. Like, my mom's friends were stand-up. I mean, like, not big comedians, but, like, they were doing it, or, like, actors. Like, it just seemed like kind of like a common and accessible thing. Yeah.
And at what point did you get an inkling to get yourself into that universe?
Yeah, I realized I was obsessed with comedy, and I had a lot of like weird thoughts in my head, and I was like, I wonder if anyone wants to hear this. It would be really cool to not just be screaming internally all the time. So I took a class in like 2000, 17 at the People's Improv Theater. And that was the first time I said my jokes in front of people and they liked it and laughed. And I think every comedian can say they're like, whoa, like that's the moment, you know?
Yeah.
And I recorded and I even have myself saying, wow, after they laughed at the first joke. I was like, that's so cool. You know, for me, I don't think it's really about the attention of it. I think it's the validation that my words are worth hearing.
Yeah.
And people agree that this is fun and silly and something to be entertained by. So that was a hoot. And then I didn't really start properly doing stand-up until 2019, like a couple years later.
Wow, so this is like an under 5 years time thing for you.
Yeah, relatively recent. Didn't get to do much over 2020. So yeah, it's still pretty new.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you find, well, you did the People's Improv, and did you do improv or did you focus on the
just stand-up?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And did you start into that grueling open mic scene at all? You just stayed in your little bubble until 2019?
Yeah, that's when I started doing mics.
Yeah. What was the gap? Why did you, because you got that reaction of the, wow, people, you know, liked my thoughts. Why did you wait 2 years to get back?
For sure. So I was thinking about that on the way here because I was just like, because I never really reflected on my journey, my comedy journey. So I was just like, I should maybe think of what to say. And I realized I was actually in a relationship, not to speak ill of this person, but they were a comedian and didn't want me to do stand-up.
Oh,
because it was their thing.
Oh, we've got a sounder for that.
Oh, yeah. What do we got?
Is that good? That'll work.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Wah, wah. And so in retrospect, I was like, it's pretty toxic, pretty bad. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm not allowed to do this. And I kind of like internalized that.
Yeah.
And so when the relationship ended in 2019, I was like, woo, I can do whatever I want. And it was really freeing. And I met more women in the comedy scene, and I realized, like, I want this to be the majority. Like, you know, or at least, you know, I just a few more. And I realized, like, that's the audience that I want to cater to, that those are the people that I want to, like, lift up. Because there's so many people who, you know, don't feel like what their words are worth hearing.
Right.
And especially, like, in my case, it was pretty explicit. So I really liked having, like, being able to be free and finally do that. Yeah.
Just to layer on top of that, it's even more than finding spaces to be able to share the thoughts that maybe you might not otherwise, but also finding safe spaces. Because talking with Ivy Lee, who has the only queer comedy show open mic, you know, there's a lot of toxic masculinity and you know, not so good environments for a sometimes traditional open mic. That, you know, knowing that you can go speak, you can speak your thoughts, they'll be received, but also that, you know, you won't have somebody lurking in the background ready to give you notes.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God, I love that. That's so true. Yeah, I love that mic. Ivy and Era, they just roll so hard. They're so cool.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that they put that together. But yeah, when I first, so during the pandemic, I was living in Brooklyn and they had a women in queer mic on a rooftop. And it was, you know, the first mic I had done since the pandemic started. And it was just like, my people, and like, it was just out and free. And like, I realized, like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then when I moved here to Austin, I started doing mics, and it was mostly dudes saying, like, racist, sexist stuff. And I don't know if it was just, like, the crew that was coming out during the pandemic. It was just, like, kind of a weird, I don't see those folks anymore. But it left a bad taste in my mouth where I was just like, what's going on here? You know? And that's when I was working with the Roma Room at the time and got to start a women's only mic. And that was how I met a ton of women here and just like started I don't know, like it was like what you were describing, like it's a safe space for folks who may have not done it otherwise. And they told me that after they did their set. And like, I remember this one woman in particular, like she was so funny. She was so young, and she was just came up. She was just like, she's like, I've never done that before. And like, I didn't want to do it anywhere else, you know? And like, she was a lesbian, and she like didn't feel comfortable going to another mic. And I was just like, this is your space. And also I hope it's a springboard to go to another mic where there are other people, you know, and you have the confidence because you know that you have been accepted in this circle and you deserve to be in other places as well. Yeah. So definitely creating places that just feel welcoming, you know, because like sometimes there's the idea that you should just like power through all the dudes and just like, just try to take the notes, you know, and just like, you know, deal with it. But people have past and people have traumas and people have experiences that make it really difficult to be in those spaces. So it's really nice to at least start, I think, in a place that's super duper welcoming, and then we'll throw you to the wolves, and you can see if you want to keep going.
I mean, it's great to have the training wheels in a safe space, right? I mean, you want mom or dad or, you know, a guardian to be there to catch you in case you fall or you're, you know, you're getting your sea legs on that bike, and then, you know, take the training wheels off, and at that point you've built up confidence in what you're saying on the stage that you can, you know, just tell the white dude
truly.
I like some of the white dudes, so please don't come at me.
I feel like and in that though, it was a challenge to not infantilize folks either, because I remember like someone, after she did her set, I said, yay, and I clapped and everything, and she like made fun of me, and she was just like, yay, you know, and I was just like, dang, I'm not trying to be like, you're a little baby, you're doing it, you know, so I also want to make sure I'm not doing that to people and empowering them as full-grown adult women, and so,
that phenomena also is very indicative of what's been happening to the Austin comedy scene, and obviously you're newer to the scene, you know, timeline wise compared to the things that I've seen before the pandemic, where so many new people were coming into the scene, and people don't know, you know, where are the good rooms for me to work my materials at versus, you know, the ones that were just popped up randomly in some, you know, rando bar, and you hear really vile things because those other rooms would not allow the vile things to be said. And so, you know, those types of spaces could exist for a while, but it does seem that things today are leveling out, where, you know, you mentioned that you don't see these people, some of those people anymore, and that's hopefully because they've been weeded out, and now people realize, yes, there are definitely comics that like to push the envelope, but I think as a comedy scene, we've realized that you can push the envelope, but you're still going to have to appease masses to some extent. So you're going to have to work the rooms that are a little more woke, as they say, even though in rooms that, you know, say, to hell with it, to any standards, I crush. So it's hopefully we're leveling out.
Right.
But, you know, who knows?
Yeah. And it's not to say that I don't like crass, you know, humor. I just like,
well done crass.
It's great. Fantastic. I like smart.
Yes.
I like smart comedy, even when it's, you know, crass. But I also like diversity. And I think that just having the same perspective is not only, you know, it's not only like sad in general that it's just not representing other people. I think it's just not good entertainment, you know, so it's good to mix it, to have a bunch of people. And I did like that there were folks who came to Open Michelle who had, you know, had jokes that weren't woke, and they kind of ruffled some feathers. And I was just like, yeah, that's okay. You know, like it's still your space to, you know, to do that. So it wasn't, so I still like the variety, but I just want to create an environment where people are comfortable to try things out.
I before the pandemic, I was doing comedy, and there was an all-female open mic that was done at Fallout Theater.
Oh, amazing!
And when everything shut down, and I saw Open Michelle, you know, get submitted to the events page, I followed the signups closely because I was teetering on the edge of, well, maybe this is my way to kind of continue because I loved the safe space of an all-woman open mic, especially since I'm not traditional, I'm not young, I'm old, I'm a parent, I wanted to know that I could do my version of dumb jokes and feel that comfort that I did when I would do the all-female mic that was at Fallout. And I never did, and I regret that because now we don't have the Roma Room anymore. So I'm curious, I know you have the other show that you're doing. Do you think you would bring back Open Michelle somewhere else?
Yeah. Oh man, I wish we could have met earlier. Oh man, that would have been so fun. Yeah, you would have been like so warmly welcomed. I would love to see your stand up. It's so cool. But there's so many moms. There's so many people who like came out of the woodwork and they're just like, I don't know, like this is me, and they were freaking awesome. So I love that. But I should mention I have a co-host, Sarah Spear, who she's also my co-producer for Texas, and I started Open Michelle, but she came in after, and she was the host for me when I couldn't do it, and she was like really passionate about it. So we've been talking about continuing it going forward, just a matter of finding the right venue and also finding the time. Because I think we're both juggling a lot. But she's wonderful. Yeah. And she's like my partner in crime.
Yeah, I had her on my showcase show that I ran for about a year.
Awesome.
And she's great. Yeah. And I love her skateboarding videos too.
She's so cool. She's so freaking cool. I can't. Yeah. She's the best.
So so Open Michelle is something that obviously gives you a chance to practice your own comedy, but you're also running that mic, so you learn hosting. Did you find it? Actually, I before I get to that question, why Austin, by the way?
It's definitely a slower pace. And I had been in like corporate New York City for so long, and I realized that's just kind of where I'm from. It's not necessarily who I am fully. And I liked Austin even before comedy was a thing here. Yeah, so I had been planning to move here for a while. Yeah, and it just so happened that it blew up as a comedy place as well, so it really worked out.
Yeah. Okay, now I can go back to my other question. So you're performing, and how are you finding it performing in Austin? Because you went back to doing comedy in 2019 in New York, and now you're doing comedy in Austin. How did the scenes compare as far as your own development?
Yes. So I actually moved to Jersey City in 2019. So I mostly stuck in Jersey City, which was like a very DIY scene. And it was relatively small, but folks were super talented and funny. And it felt like an incubator to going into New York comedy. And so it was just wonderful. I really liked it there, and it felt super diverse and a lot of really supportive people. And here it was just such a melting pot of people from so many other places where it didn't feel like, where in Jersey City everyone was like from Jersey or New York, but yeah, here everyone was like from LA or they were from all over the place, and it felt like summer camp. It felt like the first, like truly, because we were all brand new and we're all meeting each other, and we're like, and it was summer. It's always summer here, so it was a blast. And it was, we had so many like group chats, and we're like, we're going to this mic, we're doing that, and we're all experiencing it together for the first time. So last summer was really magical. I would say, but it was missing, I think, the camaraderie with women. So I think building that space amplified how great it was. Okay,
so I'm going to now delicately take you to task, but actually just challenge you. So now that things are way more wide open, are you realizing that there was a thriving, strong women in comedy scene before the pandemic.
Yeah, they have fully come out
Yeah.
for sure. Because I came here and I was like, well, what's going on? No one's here. But no, fully. I totally see that now.
Yeah.
And I've made so many friends and just like with amazing comics, who never went to the mic now, so it's just like there is a whole world, and there's like the old Austin scene of these people who I would see before I moved here. So like years ago, I'd be like Ariel, like Candace Medina, and I was just like, oh my God, I get to like hang out with them now. Like it's so sick.
Yeah.
I love like Backyard Sluts,
Yeah.
And just yeah, they just do incredible stuff, and for sure, I'm stoked that I've gotten to meet them. Yeah.
So how did Texas come to be in your like evolution as a comic?
Sure. So Sarah and I, she's just so cool. And she invited me into her skate group because I used to figure skate and play roller derby. So I was like, maybe I could do this. Yeah. And I joined her little crew, and we realized like, it's such like a ragtag group of people, and they're like, it's a lot of like queer people and Hispanic people, and like I don't know, they're all just so wonderful. And we're just talking about starting our own show and how cool that would be, like, because we had done our own Open Michelle showcase, but we were talking about starting like a queer show, and one of our friends on the skate team had like a contact, and so we kind of went from there.
Yeah.
And we weren't really having luck, and then Sarah just, cold call, just emailed Creek in the Cave, and they were like, hey, can we do this? And they were like, yeah. And we're like, wow, nice. Creek in the Cave, that's so sick. And now, this month will be a year that we've been doing that show.
Amazing.
Thanks,
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been a hoot. It's been real fun rounding people up and just like having a fun, wacky, like gay show, I think. Yeah, it's been good.
What is the funnest thing that has happened on the show?
There's Jose DeHype, is a comic who did like a whole song and dance, like literally like sang a song for Pride, and it was just really magical. It was super fun. So yeah they're great. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got this 1 year running show. Maybe we'll see the return of Open Michelle somewhere else. What kinds of things do you have percolating in your brain about more to do in the scene?
Yeah, I used to take a lot of headshots in Jersey City for folks because they would get booked in New York and they didn't really have photos for posters. So I've been doing that. I've been starting doing that again. So getting people's headshots here in Austin, and
there needs to always be somebody who's really good at doing headshots in the comedy scene, because for a long time, the standard, and you may have come across this name, Erin Hulsenbach, she does An Indoor Lady, and like you could always tell her pictures.
Cool.
And the comics would all save their pennies to get an Erin headshot series, and I've actually worked with her too, and she's amazing. But headshots are expensive, so having options, beyond the super high standard is nice, and it's a nice thing. Everybody needs a headshot.
Right. Yeah. And I don't charge very much, partially because I know, but I know like what comics make, and it's like, so I'm just like, oh, it's okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And you do comedy flyers, and I saw like on your website a lot of their flyers. Not all comedy, obviously, some that are just straight up professional business flyers. And you've got, I don't know, do you think you have a distinctive graphic design look to your work?
I think for the comedy posters, I kind of like the retro look because it just feels like old Austin.
Yeah.
So I like to try to bring that in and just like, whoa, comedy live, come see it now. Like starbursts and retro fonts.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. We're going to do that little intermission thing that I mentioned. So my friend Richard, who runs all the website stuff behind the scenes, gave me this game called Where Should We Begin? It's these open-ended questions. So you've got 2 cards in front of you. I randomly picked them from the deck. You're going to pick one, and then I'll pick the other.
Cool.
And I'll let you go first.
Okay. Okay. A conversation I need to have with my parents.
Oof.
Huh. Oh, I have to say?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. I guess when I'm nervous, I talk like I'm from Fargo. I just learned.
Yeah, that's really hilarious.
Oh, dang. We're actually really open. This is probably a cop-out, but, like, I'm pretty open with them. I, like, talked to both of them right before I came here.
Aww.
I was like, I'm nervous. I don't know what to talk about. So I probably need to have less conversations with them. I love my parents, and, yeah, I'm pretty open with them.
That's so awesome. I try to have that with my son. Like, we were talking about something yesterday, and I was just joking. I think it was drug related, and I said, "Well, you're going to tell me, right?" Oh, here's our co-host Mookie.
Hi. Wow.
And he said, "Well, obviously, I would tell you if I did that." I'm like, "Okay, good."
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's awesome to have that relationship.
Yeah,
You know,
we're terrible liars, so I don't think we
that's
could.
that's also a really good quality. That's awesome.
Okay, let's see what mine is. A decision I've been avoiding. Oof. Ugh. What is a decision I've been avoiding? Gosh. Man. I can't think of one. So I'm going to have a cop-out. A decision I've been avoiding. I don't think I do. I think I'm a pretty
You're doing
decisive.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So thumbs down on these questions for today only. Okay. There's actually something you made the joke about how you slip into a Fargo accent. So I know people from New York and New Jersey, and especially those that were born and raised in that area. You don't seem to have an apparent accent. Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. I think it's really specific to like dog and coffee and like very like going down the shore and like it's just like really specific things.
Yeah. Bless you.
But it's deep in there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm out with my Jersey friends in particular, we all just start talking like trash.
it
It's
comes
awesome. Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to slip into goofy things until I get us back to comedy. Okay, so obviously New York, New Jersey, Mecca for pizza.
Hell yeah.
Austin, there are some very, very good pizza places in Austin. What's your best slice you've had in Austin
Oh.
that makes you think of home?
Oh. I guess Hoboken pizza.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's Hoboken, New Jersey, and it's just like pretty standard, just like a slice.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy to it. Pretty cheap. Yeah.
Huh, where are they?
They're right across the street from Creek in the Cave. So it feels nostalgic,
Oh, okay.
right? You go see comedy, you go across the street, and you just get a slice. Yeah. So, oh yeah, I'm into that place.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Clearly I don't go to Creek often enough because I did not know.
Yeah, it's on Red River. That street, like
okay.
right. Yeah.
Of course, every time I go to the Creek, the food truck there has, I think it's a Frito pie that I'm embarrassed at how many orders I place when I
Nice.
go there.
Yeah.
So there's not a chance that a slice of pizza would fit in after that.
Fair.
So now that you've been doing comedy, I guess about 3 years, and producing a couple of shows, what are some things that you find yourself changing about, if anything, about the way you do comedy, you perform comedy?
I think I realized I don't get as much joy out of performing as I do seeing other people rise up. I think I like the idea of producing more than performing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's so exciting to me just to see someone that I've never seen before at a mic just crushing it. And I'm like, why are they not getting booked?
Yeah.
You know, and like trying to help them get booked and help them get seen.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of been my jam, I think.
Yeah. And I 100% know that feeling. And it's great because, you know, you're there to facilitate as a host and producer, and letting other people shine is kind of cool to do as well. All right. So are you hanging up your hat, or are you just, I'm still doing it, I'm still pursuing it, but this other thing is where I'm going to throw in all my energy?
Yeah, I think I still host Texas, and that's fun, but I think that's what I'm moving towards. It's like, I kind of want to do the tangential things, but not necessarily embarrass myself on stage anymore. Yeah.
And you and I have had some conversations about possibly helping Comedy Wham. So,
oh, yes,
you know,
yes.
those tangential things might mean helping out Comedy Wham, which would be great. 'Cause
Yes,
I'm
that'd be
only one
fantastic.
person.
Yes.
And
Yeah, and you do so much.
oh, God.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Organized chaos.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, so I have a couple of kind of boilerplate questions that I ask, and I'm gonna turn them on their head, because one of them is, what do you love about being a performer? And just to elaborate on that idea of the tangential, what do you love about being the host producer?
I think in both cases, I like the control. I'm pretty anxious, and it feels nice to, you know, if I have a set written out, I'm just like, I know what I'm going to say in this case, and like I have the mic, and like there's power to it, and it feels kind of like therapeutic. And it's the same way for producing, where it's just like this is chaotic and it could be like a mess, but it's nice to be able to sit down and organize everything, and then to see it and be entertained at the end of the night. You're like, this is wonderful. I get paid sometimes. You're like, this is sick. So yeah, just everything coming together just feels really satisfying.
Yeah. And then the flip side, what do you hate about being performer, host, producer?
Let's see. I guess I hate I don't know. I remember being so afraid to get on stage, and now my fear is not just stage fright, but the fear of just not being funny. You know, so I always worry that I don't have enough new material. So it's just like this conversation in my head where I'm just like, I need to churn out more, I need to do better. So I guess it's not feeling good enough, which could be a good thing. And then what I hate about producing, I mentioned pay, but it's it's not always the case. Oh, I always like to book only a few comics at a time, and they get a decent. They get paid well, I think, and then there's not necessarily any left over, which is like okay, but it would be nice if, you know, can balance it out a little more in the future. Yeah.
Art should be paid for.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I book 5 people on my shows, and, you know, to make sure that, you know, it's not going to be like 20 comics and be like, I don't know, go get 1 beer, you know, and that's all. So it just doesn't feel right if they're performing, bringing in people. So, yeah.
Have you done or seen comedy in cities other than the New York City, you know, behemoth area and Austin?
Yeah, I like to see stand-up wherever I go. And I think probably the most memorable was in London, where everything was political and very smart and went over my head, and I felt dumb as hell. I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Everyone else is cracking up. So, and they were speaking different languages too. So I was just like, damn, this is smart, and I'm dumb. I'm just a dumb American. I need to go. So yeah, that was neat. Yeah.
I don't know if you followed the funniest person in Austin, but one of the great lessons that the eventual winner, Tyler Gross, made is he had an internship with Boom Chicago, which is like this massive improv incubator based in Amsterdam. And he said the biggest lesson he learned from there is how to make his comedy universal.
Wow.
So that London show failed you because you should have felt like, you know, hey, I get this. I follow along.
Yeah.
And politics is somewhat universal, but, you know, still, you should have, they failed you. Although it's hard to say. You know, bar show out here, you know, nobody's going to try to make the comedy super universal.
Right, right.
But that is kind of an important lesson about making comedy accessible to all.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. Okay. What have we not talked about? Because I feel like when you're kind of at this pivot point, like there's not much to talk about with the comedy necessarily. And if you're making this gradual shift, maybe I can ask, do you think you'll come back to comedy and performing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I need new experiences. I'd like to, because I feel like everything that I've said, so like a lot of stuff in my set so far has been stuff that happened in my early 20s. So it's just like I need to like figure out the next chapter and have more things to pull from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I need to like figure out what the next set would be, I think.
And so, you know, this phrase, organized chaos, this is just stuck in my head. Have you thought about taking improv classes? Because to me, improv is all about organized chaos.
True. I don't know if I'm that quick on my feet.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm like in awe of people who can do it.
Yeah.
But usually I need to like sit and meticulously write out every thought and like, yeah. But you did improv, right?
No.
Oh, I thought you said you did earlier. Oh, okay.
No. No. Sketch?
Sketch stuff. Okay, cool.
Well, no. Well, I mean, I have done some sketch, but never in a trained environment. My son and I, for a while, we did a little sketch thing.
How cute.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's awesome. What a cool mom. I love that.
But I was also asking for you then, if you like the scripted stuff, have you thought about sketch?
I don't know. I think I want to like help other people do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and help from that perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else have we... This is going to be short. What else do we want to talk about? Do we want to go into an ASMR? The rest?
I don't know. I don't know if I could do it.
Okay, we'll go into kind of some political cultural stuff. Okay. And identity things. Because when you approached me about doing the podcast, your opening line was, I'm a Latina from New York City. Tell me about that identity, and if that is something... It sounds like your parents have been super supportive of you. What has that experience been like, both in a city, New York, New Jersey, or areas where, from the outside looking in, it's very accepted, to coming to Austin where, yeah, in certain pockets it's accepted, but then you have, like, you know, the Republican areas that... maybe a little more squeamish about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think because of that, my identity feels that much more important. Whereas I never really thought about it back home, where it's just kind of commonplace. Like everyone's like mixed and, you know, all fluid and such. So it just felt more important. And maybe it's something I emphasize more because I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose that aspect of myself or hide that aspect of myself.
Yeah.
The way it might be encouraged to in some places. So yeah, and moving here, it was the first time I met people who were the only people who were queer in their, you know, circles growing up. I had a friend who was just like, you know, I was the only person who looked the way that I did, and I was just like such an outcast in like the suburbs and like in the north and other places. So they were like, Austin was my safe haven, you know, and it kind of like showed me, I was like, not that I was taking it for granted back home, but it was just showing that so many people have had such a different experience here. And I think that's why like the queer show is such a treat for some people, and the all women mic and the non-binary mic was such a treat because it's just like relatively new for a lot of people. Yeah, and it's something I don't want to like lose, even though it might be the minority sometimes.
Yeah. Are you the challenging type where you would say, I know that I'm safe by doing my show at the Creek and the Cave. I was safe in doing my open mic, Open Michelle at Roma Room, but I kind of want to stir some shit up and bring my all queer comedy show to an area that maybe isn't as welcoming as Austin.
Oh my gosh, I love that idea. Wow. Yeah. And because I feel like the comedy is often so smart and just like it's so awesome that like it's undeniable that this is funny.
Yeah.
Like even if someone is like maybe closed-minded, they'd be like, "Oh, that was pretty good."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love that idea. In the same way that I want the people who headline my show to get booked on other shows that are not just about being queer.
Yeah.
Because that's not the idea, that I don't want it to be siloed forever.
Right.
Right? Like I want these people to be seen and to grow in their careers. So that'd be a very cool idea for sure.
Yeah. Because I know there's political controversy up in, I think it's pretty sure it's Georgetown, but I could be wrong. But it's a northern suburb town where drag queens went to the public library to read books.
Yes.
And that brought out all sorts of the nasty types of people that were like, "Oh no, you can't do this, my children."
Right.
And so that kind of stirred shit up.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, maybe this is the way to stir shit up, and open eyes to different voices.
Right. Yeah. That's fun. I like that.
Yeah. So a little idea planted there
Yeah.
for you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want people to know about you?
I guess if you want to do stand-up, just go for it. And if you feel uncomfortable in the current places that you're seeing, that there are other options for you to try. And I think that's great. And there are people sprinkled into the other spaces as well. And there's people to befriend. And if you're intimidated, there are definitely people to connect with.
Yeah. It's a really important message with the way the scene is shaping up is, not every open mic is the same, and you should go to a variety of them to figure out, which one is your favorite.
For sure.
Which one you feel like, I can say my dumb words and my rough first draft of a joke in front of them and feel okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like this has really raced by. So let's see. Oh, this is way too many ums. I hate to throw your closing question at you this soon. But I think we're going to do it.
Okay.
Oh, wait. No. I like one of my other questions.
Okay. Hit me.
Okay. What was your light bulb moment where you knew that you wanted to be host producer, like at that different level versus the being a comic?
I did a show not too far from here. It was in Lakeway at Castro's.
Ah, yes. Got some history there.
Oh, really? Okay. And it was for G-Spot comedy. Yeah. So I produced the show for them, and it was the first time I had done so, and we got the biggest turnout where it was standing room only in the back. Like, it was wild, and we got to pay the comics, and we got paid, and like it was a hit. And like I took photos, I did the poster, I like did all the promotion, and it was just like, whoa. That felt awesome. That was so cool, and it felt even more gratifying than having a good set. Because it's just like, look how many people are happy. Like this is so awesome. Like everyone, I felt like benefited from that night. So I think that was a moment where I was like, oh, I could do this. And that was before Texas and before we did the showcase for Open Michelle. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually a really cool light bulb moment.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, and that's where I met Maggie May, Mayfield, and she was a sweetheart there. So I was just like, Yeah, and I listened to her on your podcast, and yeah, really cool.
Nice.
Cool gal.
Okay, well, here we go.
Okay.
One word to describe your future.
Oh, snap. I think it's going to continue being organized chaos, and I'm cool with that. Keep it going. It's working. I like it.
That's so funny. There seems to be a string of my recent guests who, past and future word, they're like, it's the same word.
Yeah.
It's the same word.
It's working.
Okay. Well, that is a wrap on Comedy Wham presents Alyssa Spatola. Okay. Tell us where we can find you on social media and give us that promo of the shows you've got.
Yes, for sure. So I am Alyssa Spatola on Instagram and Twitter and all over the internet. And our next Texas show will be Tuesday, October 25th. It's coming up soon, and it's going to be every month after that at Creek in the Cave at 9 p.m. So come out. It's very fun.
Awesome. Very good. Okay. Well, we hope you've enjoyed learning about how Alyssa got to be the comedic genius that you are today just as much as I have. This has been Comedy Wham presents Alyssa Spatola. I'm Valerie, and that's been funny. Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.